Greetings and salutations. Come on up here. All right, that's our subject right now. Belgian Malinois. Malinois, Malinois, Belgian Malinois. Belgian, French, and basically the sheepdog. Is it a breed to begin with? Let's talk about that. It really isn't a particular breed. I know we have a final form, but the breeders continue to mix in other breeds to change things up because they don't want the gene pool getting stagnant, and they want to still enhance these animals, which, I don't know, they're pretty enhanced. Do you want a Belgian Malinois? Everybody wants one because they're beautiful. I agree. Come on. Take another look. Up, up, up. Come on, up. Yeah, look. I can't get her to just look at the camera for you. When I saw the picture of this puppy, so cute, so petite, so precious, I fell in love with her. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, the markings, just so adorable. Very pretty girl, yes. Oh, yes. Very nice and symmetrical. Nice mask. And she's got like almost like a mole mark on each side. And the eyes are highlighted just like she's got makeup on. And the ears are a nice color. She's got a little bit, I believe we call this mahogany. There's some classifications. She's got slightly longer fur. I really would prefer shorter fur because she blows out fur. And it's a nice mix of colors. And she's got a high-pitched bark like she's a little dog. But that bark cuts right through you. Power. Lots of power. And of course, a lot of people mistake her for German Shepherd. Looks like, oh, she's just a puppy. Oh, no, no, no. She's not a puppy, and she's full grown, and she's no German Shepherd. German Shepherd is kind of a, I hate to say it, a German Shepherd's kind of like a station wagon. This is a finely tuned racing sports car that really barely street legal. And there's a lot of talk about really regulating these dogs quite a bit because they're used for so much. But here's the problem. They have to have a job. They require a lot of training, a lot of time, and a lot of attention. And if they don't get it, they become destructive. And they can't help it. I mean, it's kind of cute in a way, but I had hung up my boxers when I took a shower and left them there, and in the morning I was getting clean clothes out and take the dirty clothes out, right? And I looked at my nice silky kind of looking blue boxers, nice color, and man, she tore a hole right in the butt. She likes to tear holes in the butt to get your attention. She's bored. Now you may think, well, she just needs to play. She just needs to run. You can't wear these dogs out. As a matter of fact, I tried. About 20 minutes of running is where you want to go. You don't want to go beyond it. Sure you can. And we did that when she was a little younger, because I figured I'm going to wear you out. I'm going to make you run for an hour. It works the other way. It charges her battery, and she's much more hyped up then. So you cannot wear these dogs out physically. So what can you do? You have to challenge them mentally. They are thinking dogs. This is the most intelligent dog on the planet. It's not just my opinion. This beats out the Australian sheepdog, which usually runs its owners ragged with its energy and is smarter than the owner. She's way smarter than the owner. way smarter. And there's times in which she's calling the shots. And there's times in which she's actually right. And it's like she's doing her job. I'm the retard. She learned how to stop traffic on her own and help me across the street when I needed it, and I didn't train her for it. I just watched it and marveled, and I'm thinking, good God, the last time I saw this was a bull bison buffalo, there's a lot of folks out there, in Yellowstone, trying to cross the highway in a big, broad plain with mountains around it. And he had a herd of about 30 females and maybe 4 or 5 males, on the periphery, and a bunch of calves too. And she did the same thing, except, well, when his harem was safely across the road, he took his time stepping out. Not only that, he stomped his paws in the middle of the road, knowing he was holding us all up, because he looked at each side, looked the drivers in the eyes, and stopped us. He looked at one side and put his paw down. Oh, yeah. Then looked to the other side, and he looked left first. He didn't look right first. He knew which way to look. A lot of children and adults don't know which way to look. And then he looked right. And once he had made eye contact, and he snorted a couple of times and just put that paw down there, oh man. And when he was done, he got out in the middle of the road, and I'll just put it this way. He marked his territory, and it was a big stream, and it was a big puddle, and he bellowed. He was the king. It's like, yes, sir. She didn't do that. She wanted to get me across the road faster than what I thought I could walk, because I had an injury and I was in a lot of pain. And turns out she was right. I could walk faster. I could actually walk faster than I thought. I didn't realize I was guarding myself. And if I turned, I couldn't turn to the left. Oh, man. It's a sharp pain. I mean, I can't really describe it except to say it was incapacitating kind of pain. So I was guarding it. But she's pulling me straight out. And of course, I'm pushing a cart. She don't like carts. Next thing I know, she's going faster, and I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. And she's pulling me on this leash, sled dog time. And the leash I use on her is a little tiny piece of spaghetti, basically, because it's super sensitive. And she likes it, and she responds better to that than the 1-inch leash that most trainers recommend. Now, she's got a 1-inch collar, and I still have her training collar. It's like 2.5 inches wide. And I think it still fits her, and I don't ever pull it out because she wants to play. And you cannot disappoint these dogs because they're extremely sensitive and very emotional. At least this one is. So, very high maintenance. They need to be run ideally, 5 miles twice a day. Now you may think, I don't have time for that. That's too much. She can cover 5 miles pretty quickly. This is a fast animal. Faster than most other animals. Faster than other dogs for the most part. The launch is extreme because of the way she's built. She kicks her legs in and does more than just a full body stride. It's like 2 body strides off the hind legs alone, 1 thrust. And it is fast, and she has so much power. And when she was younger, she wanted to play with me, so she'd come around and she would do me a little love tap right behind the knees, and they'd buckle, and I'd be going down. And also, sometimes she'd get too exuberant, and she pulled me on my face down on the asphalt. And at that point, I learned what a what a Springer collar was, and it looks like a torturous contraption. But you got to use it. I'm not using it anymore. I still have it. I could pull it out and use it, but you just use it to train. You don't use it to control most of the time. She doesn't like wearing clothes. She doesn't like wearing her service vest. I got 2 of them. She chewed them both up. And I use a nice, brilliant, bright yellow 2-inch collar around her. And when I put that on her, she knows she's at work. And she accepts that. And of course, if I leave it on, because it's not that big and it's easy to just leave there, it's not the right call. You actually have to release her from work so that she knows it. I'm not very good at that either. One of the hardest commands is to get her to, not to break, but to go be a puppy dog. Go be a dog. Go do dog stuff. Ignore me. It took me a long time to learn how to give the command so that she would know, hey, you're on your own. Go do dog stuff. Smell around, sniff around, do what you want. And if I don't do that, she's right there. And sometimes she's right there in front of me and I want to walk and I can't walk. She wants to be commanded. She wants to work. And the other thing is, everybody wants to talk baby talk and cooey, this, that, all that stuff. And I want to do that too because I love my puppy dog. Oh no. I couldn't get her to come back until I started put some air in my diaphragm and barking it. And I mean, it was all I could muster to get it out. So it was almost half of what she puts out when she barks, maybe. And then I had to use the electric collar because she wasn't coming back. And so, and it's not, you don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a shock collar, man. Well, when you get the shock collar, they train you how to use it. And they eventually find the sweet spot for her. And that's just like ground zero. That's just the normal place. But these dogs are so powerful. They have so much drive that you have to be willing to max it out. And I'm not kidding. There are times in which she is so involved in what she's doing, so adrenalized, that that's what it takes to get her attention. Doesn't hurt her. And they'll put that collar on you and do it. And it's not that bad. I was like, but that's all it is? So it is a wake-up call. They do not like it. However, we usually put them on at a little bit of an angle, not right on the back of the neck, not on the spine. And the darn thing seems to go down to the throat. We definitely don't want it on the throat. And we want to change positions because those things have to be on tight. And she had some sore spots. It was really rough getting used to how tight to put it. And it needs to go on a little tighter than what you think. And you don't feel good having to do that, but you got to do it. Once the dog knows the collar's on, different animal. I haven't put an electric collar on her for probably, I guess the last time was September. It's March. So, not doing that, but I really should do that because she's getting a little out of hand, and I get frustrated. When I get frustrated, I'm not clean and clear in my commands. It's not her fault. It's the owner's, the trainer's fault. I train my own dogs. If you let somebody else train your dog, nah, that's not right. It's not going to work. But when you go get training, it's you that are getting the training. They're not training the dog. They're training you. And you have to be willing to invest time and money driving to good trainers, finding good trainers. You got to stick with it a bit. And do you want a Belgian Malinois? Everybody wants it. It's like a Porsche 911 Turbo. Everybody wants it. Well, it used to be when you bought a Porsche, you tuned it up once a year. You buy the Turbo, You tune it up twice a year. And it costs more to tune it up, so it costs more than double just in the tunings alone. And there's lots of extra parts on that car, and they're specialty parts, and they're really expensive. And so your brake master cylinder's got a boost on it, and you got all kinds of stuff. Well, these animals come with that kind of stuff. The other thing is they're kind of impervious to pain. They're very forgiving, thank God. And they will dominate you. It's constant. A Malinois will always test you. It never stops. And when you think, oh, it's a puppy dog, I'm going to treat her like one, you lose. And not only that, you lose for a while because you got to get it all back. So my recommendation is you always go through standard stuff first thing in the morning before you do anything else. Otherwise, she's going to be pulling me around. She's not going to be obeying me or listening to me. And when I do that, I get the commands are abrupt, the turns and changes and stuff I do are abrupt. I do my best to mix it up so she can't read my mind, maybe. This time she will be surprised at the way I'm going because she's in front of me just too much. I'm trying to cross paths, and I'll take a left turn into her. Don't like doing it, but if I don't do that, I lose control of her. Then I get frustrated and I lose control of myself. Not cool. The other thing is if you're prone to, if you get frustrated, or if you're in a situation in which there's a lot of distractions and you're the one distracted, could be some trouble. And when you have a dog like this, you want to desensitize them. When they're young and when they're puppies, you want to touch every part of their body. You want to get them used to being manhandled, cuddled, coddled, and I made a mistake. I failed to pick her up. Now she won't let me pick her up. Now, I'll probably seek some help on a trainer with that because I have to be able to pick my dog up. I want to be able to hold her whichever way I need to. Even throw her over my shoulder if we are in a rough situation or if she's injured. I got to carry her. And I did go with a smaller dog this time. And she is muscular and she is athletic. She's a little older now and she's settled down quite a bit. But the vocabulary is pretty big, and you don't want to use the P-L-A-Y word or the W-A-L-K word. And the problem is they learn how to spell. And you say, I don't want my dog in a kennel. I want my dog free. Oh, you idiot. You want the kennel there. Why? Because it's her safe space, and she knows it. And she'll go there when she's in trouble and she hasn't done things right because she wants to, she knows. They got consciences. They have incredible array of feelings. And I do try to tease her. And she's got nobody else to play with. So I will tease her and toy her, and I'll make sure to make a big deal out of it, but make sure I don't hurt her. Like, I'll get your tail. And she knows I'm playing, and I will get the tail, and sometimes I'll just take the end of it and wag it like, it's my tail, see? And they used to bug her at first, because, and I wasn't hurting her, I wasn't pulling, no, I'm not going to do that. But now it's like, she doesn't care. It's okay. You want my tail is your tail. Wag the thing. Okay. Yes, I'm talking about you. She's looking up at me. Now, a lot of people want to trim their dog's nails. On these dogs, I find that you don't need to trim the rears. They naturally get up on those things and wear them down. And you actually want all the nail possible on the rears. And of course, I had to have the nails professionally trimmed at first because she was cutting me so much. And the cuts were long and sometimes deep. She wasn't meaning to do it. It's just she's got weapons. And so at this point, she's not jumping up on me like she used to, not as uncontrollable. It took us a while to work through that. And so her nails are a little bit too long probably. But I also realized that the natural nail provides her a lot of things, including self-defense, including being able to protect herself. And if she wants to take off real fast, she needs everything she's got. A lot of people like to take the dew claws, the little claw up in the middle of the elbow. They like to cut those off. I want a clean, neat dog. I don't want those things. You leave them on these dogs because they help them with their balance and with their agility. Do not take those off. They have different temperaments. And I had a chance to get a male Malinois, and I was hot on the trail, but the trainers got to that dog before I did, and they didn't want me to find out about it, but they didn't change the dog's name, and I saw it out of the training. And when I mentioned that was Jack's, they denied it. The dog was already committed to a woman who was a truck driver who had difficulties walking. She had so much difficulty walking that the dog had to be extremely well trained. And Jack's had the perfect temperament. I mean, really gentle. She doesn't mean to be mean or aggressive. She just wants to play. Jack's had the perfect temperament. So I know he's out there and he's just a little bit older than she is. I still want to breed the two of them together because she almost stopped traffic one time. We're at Porsche Parade, and I decided I'm going to go up there and watch the cars at the corner, and the big police officers out there in the black uniform. They don't wear blue anymore, but they should. And he's out there, and I'm trying to get her to sit. I want to show that I've got control of my dog. I've got her service vest on her. I got everything on her. She's dressed up. We're going to the parade. I want her to sit still. She would not sit still for me. She kept fidgeting and kept doing stuff. A nice grassy place to wait. And I'm there thinking, this is embarrassing. She usually sits. She usually stays still. And she was just kind of crazy. And this police officer's giving signals, and he walks backwards up over his shoulders looking at me. I'm thinking, oh, here it goes. I'm going to get it now. What did I do? Really nice guy. Big guy, too. Young guy. And I figured he was going to tell me to control my dog. Oh, hell no. He says, I really like your dog. I'm the canine trainer. And I love her crazy energy. I could do wonders with that. I don't want her doing police work. We're not going to go there. Those dogs get injured and hurt. And I know you folks like to see the pictures of them jumping and sailing over bushes and cars and like flying through the air and going like 12 feet across and 12 feet up. Yeah, that stuff's there. And you can train them to climb up a chain link fence. But those dogs get injured. Injuries on an athlete are no fun. It takes time and it takes money. And a dog like this, as one trainer told me, I said, she doesn't jump over the fence. It's this high. She hasn't figured out how to jump yet. And she says, do you want her to jump? I says, well, I figured she would, And she says, you don't want her to jump. And she explained to me, those dogs break bones. They get injuries. Which reminds me of the point I meant to make earlier. When they're running and they're working and they're being active, they don't feel injuries. You have to go over your dog and look at your dog. If you're in training for protection animal training, you have to go over your dog and look. Is she bleeding anywhere? Are there any wounds? Because she'll ignore it. She doesn't care. One time she's running at full speed, and I didn't realize there was a culvert that it dropped right into the grill of the steel, whatever it was, of the culvert. She came running, and the ground went out from underneath her, and she hit herself. She ended up with a cut on her face. And I'm trying to get her to sit still so I can check this out. And it's like, she doesn't have a problem. She doesn't even know she's bleeding or something. She doesn't feel it. Of course, I'm feeling lousy because I should have checked the area because it was kind of hard to see. A little bit of brush around there. But she didn't care. And another time, I'm out there running her in a different area thinking it's safer. It was not safer. As a matter of fact, when we got done, she was having a really good time, really kicking up some speed. And it was like not quite raw desert in the city where, you know, people own lots and acreage that are going to be developed. And I get her inside, and she goes underneath my seat and tucks away in there, kind of cowering. The only dogs that I've seen do that are afraid. 4th of July, you know, New Year's Eve. The sounds will drive them nuts, and they'll hide behind you, under you. They want to get away from that stuff. She's cowering. So I look down at the seat, and I see what looks like her intestines hanging out. And I just almost lost my cookies. It was that gross. And she was injured, and she knew it. And it was a major injury. What had happened, apparently, is there was some barbed wire, and she caught a piece of that at speed, and it just sliced right through her hide. About this long of a slice. And it happened to be not on center, but slightly off. And the skin curled up like a damn hot dog and was hanging out from where her heart is, you know. And I'm going, intestine hanging out? That doesn't make any sense. And I knew I had to keep my cool. I can't panic. I got to hold it together for her. So I'm thinking, well, I got to go to the vet this time. Oh, no, the vet didn't want to see me. You got to go to the emergency room. It cost a lot of money. It took a lot of time. And when we get there, of course, they want to provide all the service they can, buddy. They want to overtreat like they all do, the professionals in this country. And they tell me the bill, what it's going to take, anesthesia fee, this fee, that fee, all that. And it's like $1,400. And I'm like, she's still a puppy. Well, probably about 7 months old at the time, maybe 8. And I'll be darned. I'm looking over these details, because if you don't look, you're going to get screwed. And it's like I'm seeing medicine, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. And they got to give her general anesthesia. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. Oh, yeah, they're going to do anesthesia on one of these. They got to. And there's always the problem that the anesthesia might not be quite right. And so they wanted to do a $300 and something blood test to make sure she was strong enough for the anesthesia. And I'm looking at her thinking, you know, because it might kill her. And I looked at them and says, you know, she's got to have the surgery. It's just the way it is. She's got to have the surgery. She's got to be under anesthesia. That's all there is to it. And she's young, strong. Either she makes it or she doesn't. Don't ring me up $300 and something for blood tests. It's not necessary. Because she's got to have that. Of course, I would suppose if she didn't pass that test, they would have said we have to put her down. And it's like, what the heck? I'm going to pay for a dead animal now. High-end dog, I paid big bucks. And I actually got a good deal, I think. At this point, yeah, there were times in which I wished I hadn't done it, so much money into her. And it's a little bit too much for me. There were times in which I wanted to pass her along, but everybody wants something for nothing. They wanted her for free, and I was into her for about $7,000 large. Yeah. I don't know how it happened, but it sure adds up fast. Do you want puppy insurance? No, I don't want insurance on the dog, because I want to make sure I'm in control of the treatment. It's like health insurance, or you call it insurance, health benefits for a human being. They're going to give you the cheapest ass, the cheapest doctor, the cheapest medicine, not the good stuff, unless you're paying for it. Insurance isn't worth the price. You can't insure against everything. Yeah, she come through it okay. And then we had to take her in because of the swelling and the possible infection. And then they had to, and of all the doggone things, they had to put some sort of a special T-shirt on her. Believe me, it's medical gear, so you're paying for it. So there's more money, more hundreds there. And they put this thing on her because stitches need some time to heal, or staples. I don't remember what it was at the time. And otherwise, she was just going to tear them out. So we did that, and I take her home with this kind of almost a muscle shirt for a dog. Comes down to the elbows. And they don't tell you that there's danger. Just like a regular medical doctor. They don't tell you. They don't give you informed consent. They think we're all dumb. And they didn't tell me about the possibility, if it's left on her too long, that wounds would occur right there at the ends of the T-shirts, which, the arms of the sleeve, on the front leg rather. Those got infected. So now I got to do all kinds of washing, compresses a couple of times a day, and I'm doing exactly what they tell me to do. And you got the medicine, which you got to give it to them, and they need it so they can calm down from all this. Anyway, now you have to baby her through the wounds on both front paws. It seemed like it took forever for her to heal, but it worked out pretty good. She healed up real good. No indications of previous injury. I don't think. Maybe if we cut the fur back there, we might see the long incision from rusty barbed wire. So these dogs, if they go to you because they're in trouble, they are in trouble. They don't bother with minor injuries. These dogs are troopers. They keep fighting and keep pulling. They just want to work. They want a job, and they want to think. It's not a brute force animal, it's a thinking animal. And that's one of the things people don't realize because they're looking at the brute force. Oh, and believe me, you don't want to get hit by one of these flying missiles because they're tiny and they pack a big wallop. More knockdown power than a German Shepherd. If she hits you at full gallop, not that she's been trained to take you down or anything, but if she hits you at full gallop in a takedown move, not as much body to spread that energy on, and she's going much faster. And velocity really increases energy. Very powerful. That's why Special Forces uses these dogs. They also have special gear for them, like face masks, goggles, and the handler. They will have a harness for the dog. I don't think they put separate parachutes on the dog. I think they jump in tandem together, and they jump high altitude, low release with these animals. Yeah, I mean, they're just incredible. But I don't want that for my dog. I don't want her treated like a piece of meat. I don't want her treated as disposable because those dogs are so highly trained that they don't take any chances. And when we left Iraq, they put down a huge number of dogs. Orders come down, that's what you do. A handler might be able to get a dog back, but they don't really want that to happen because the liability involved. The dogs are such athletes, so trained. Now, males from this breeder run about 80 pounds. And the nice thing about a male is that you give the command, They don't hesitate. They're all in. Boom. Female will think about it for a fraction of a second, and she'll look at the whole thing and she'll figure out the best way. The male, he don't give a damn, man. He's just going, he's in. And if you really want protection, that's what you want to go with. But the female bonds to a man much stronger. Not only that, come on, guys, let's not kid ourselves. They are not the weaker or the fairer of the species. They are more powerful than we are, and they will kill you. And they cannot be as easily controlled as a male soldier can be. They can't stop themselves. Their adrenaline rush is actually more powerful than a man's. I know, you don't want to hear it. Well, some of you women want to hear that, that's for sure. And I talk to law enforcement and people in uniform quite regularly, and I ask them questions. And I love to ask a female cop, do you like the adrenaline? Do you like the chase? And sometimes she'll just flat out say, yes, she likes it. It's exhilarating. And some people don't feel alive unless they're doing that stuff. And a lot of our fighting men are trained to manage that. Now, I can't handle mine like they handle theirs. And their training is so vigorous that it's like riding lightning. You know, that's what it feels like to me, but I got no control over the lightning. The men that I've met that I know who have done work that you would not believe, and I don't ask them. I know better than that. But the guys that really do the work and really are trained and have done all of that stuff that you read about in books or watch on the movies, they're the nicest guys ever. You would never ever think they would ever do that to another human being. I thank God for them. The training we give our men and our women, especially the female Marines, that's serious stuff. I mean, it is super serious. They break them down. They put them over the edge so that they think they're going to die. They actually set up the testing so that it can't really be done. And these cadets, they all are supposed to think they're going to die during one particular exercise. I don't want to mention it. And they come through it okay. It's an exercise in which they run out of oxygen. You know, we usually panic when we run out of oxygen. These guys kick it in gear. Their adrenaline kicks in, and they come out of it alive, and they realize, I can do this. And they get calm about it because they've had the training, and training matters. With these dogs, training matters. She had a trainer when she was a puppy, and I watched the videos of it. And when I got her and we put her through those paces, I'd like to meet the trainer and thank him because he did a good job. And then other fellow that I was working with for a little bit, I kept falling asleep on the doggone long drives because he was worth the drive. And the ride home, I would about drift off, falling asleep because it's so damn boring. And so I finally decided I got to give this up because, you know, there's some medicines one can take to be alert for that sort of stuff. The boys take that stuff. I don't like calling them boys. The men take that stuff. I might just take that stuff just to do that because the training's worth it. The trainer was that good. And they raved about him around the whole country. And I'm not talking about people in general. I'm talking about the guys in special forces that decide they want to have a high-end dog because it's cool. You don't want a high-end dog. You don't want the turbo. Well, I guess you could get a 911 turbo. It's pretty docile. Anybody can drive a 911 turbo. Porsche makes sure of that. You get the next model or two or three up from that base turbo. It's hard to say base turbo. It just doesn't make much sense, right? Because the turbo is the turbo. Anybody can drive that turbo, but not anybody can drive a tuned up turbo. I had that lesson to learn. It was so violent and so aggressive and so radical. I had to go back and spend a lot of hours at the track because it was an entirely different critter. This really is, as they say, it's a fur missile. This isn't a dog. This isn't a pet. This is a working animal. And if you want the dog to be happy so that she doesn't rip a hole in the ass end of your jeans, and believe me, she'll go out of her way to do it. You'll think, oh, I got to hang it up here. She won't reach that. She won't get to that. Oh, hell no, man. So fast you wouldn't. It's like, it's nothing to her. And if she's frustrated, that's what she'll do. And we had a lot to do and a lot to run around on that. And of course, they want your shoes because they want your smell in there with them. You got to be prepared to lose some clothes. My bathrobe, it's loaded with holes. It's shredded. I got a nice brand new Turkish bathrobe, but I just don't want to shred it up. So I'm not using it. And it's really thick and heavy, but you got to remember that when she was trained, they probably trained her doing tug-of-war stuff with a rag. And so far as she's concerned, it's playtime. That's the toy. How do you think they train them up? And I've talked to people that have had litters of puppies, Belgian puppies, and they tell me, couldn't wait to place them. Just were driving them nuts. Couldn't wait till they were weaned, and he got them all placed at 2 months of age. Because he says they are little terrors. And you just can't, I mean, you really have to have some room for them, and you gotta give them some playtime. And I mean, they're just puppies, they're just playing, but you don't want to get in the middle of it. I mean, you don't want your hand down there where they're all going for the same rag, and they all want to, I can win that game, then they all have that drive. I can win that game, and some say, I know how to play this game, and I'm not going to lose. And they really mean it. So, I'm not a very good pet owner. I'm worse animal handler, dog handler. So, I've been through my second trainer with her, and a really good trainer. And it's a family outfit, and the mother was there with her Malinois, and extremely protective, and very obedient, and I mean impressive. And their dogs star in some movies and televisions and commercials. And, you know, they kind of, I mean, it's like, what are you doing with that? It's like I'm out at the protection animal training after I get my new puppy to see what I ended up with to make sure he likes the dog. He really didn't like her, but he just hadn't made up his mind, so I ended up kind of stuck with her. But I'm happy with it. You don't want to do this to yourself. And my particular point is, I went to 4 weekends up there as a guest, and guy's really ethical. I sent him a check for the fees he charges, and he was pissed off. Typical military, I'm not going to say it. I don't operate that way. Okay, fine. She never cashed the check. He was insulted because he had invited me there. And I said, look, I can't make it back because the road's just too much for me. And I wanted to pay him properly. Anyway, it didn't work out. I went to the other trainer because I didn't want her for protection as much as I wanted an animal, a service animal. I got some hearing impairments, and I figured I'd train her up every which way like a Swiss Army knife, and now I realize just stick to one job and make sure it's a good job. With time, other training for sure, like this other trainer that's up in Indiana, highly recommended, 9-month waiting list. I should have made an appointment. She deals with difficult dogs and dogs with anxiety. This one's got some anxiety, and of course, when I got her, they told me she was 4 months old. She was exactly 5 months old. And we don't know what she went through. And she smelled of kennel neglect. She stunk to high heaven. It took a while to get that. And he picked the dog up and smelled her. And what the heck's going on with that? He wasn't too happy about it. He didn't say much to me, but he stopped using that breeder. Didn't like the dogs or something. And he didn't want to talk about it. Very professional. Just I stopped using them. Stopped getting his dogs. Don't recommend them. Had to send a dog back or two. And even the breeder, when I told him, Lee's referred me. He says, "Oh, I got to get you a really good dog because if Lee doesn't like the dog, he's going to send it back. He'll reject the dog if he doesn't like it." So I got the pick of the litter, and of course the pick of the litter costs more. And I'm sitting there eating one of my favorite meals, and I'm comfortable. I get grouchy, like when I was a baby. I got grouchy if I was hungry and didn't have food. Well, it's the same way. Actually, it's always been that way. So I call him up and decide I'm springing for it. I'm going to do that for myself. Pick a litter. He had already determined what he was going to sell it to me for, and that's when I basically said, because his regular puppies were much cheaper, $1,500 difference. Talked to him, and he finally told me what he had to have delivered. So we did it, and I'm so glad I did. But there are times that I regret it, and there are times when I want to break from her. But you got to keep the kennel. You got to have room for the kennel, because the dog does well in the kennel. And, you can leave him in there all day if you have to. It's up to you when you bring the dog out. Another thing is they're trying to potty train them and house train them. They won't go in their kennel. Learned that lesson the hard way. And they're very nocturnal, so if you think you're going to sleep with one of these things, first night home, I had her sleeping in a bed with me next to me. She was in heaven, man. More human contact than she had. And she was like flat as a board, straight back against me, tight. And I'm like, this feels good. This is cozy. You do not put these dogs in the bed with you, because they will dominate you. They'll consider themselves equal, and they will challenge you. And sometimes they don't play nice. So you need to let them know who's boss. And of course, my aunt had to stick her nose in everything and always tell me that the dog comes first. Oh, no. Part of your establishing dominion and dominance is that the dog sits and waits while you eat. The dog doesn't get to eat until you have eaten. It's discipline. You're feeding the dog. You're giving the dog a treat. It's always a SIT command before you do anything. And sometimes we go back and forth through a few things. We used to have the sit pretty thing where she would get up, help develop her abdominal muscles, but she doesn't need that anymore. It's been so long that she's bigger now. And she was just a little puppy when I got her, and there I am at the training, and these people with beautiful Dobermans. I mean, just incredible. Also, I learned that the females were actually better than the males, even though they were smaller. The bond and all of that was just right there. And they found out how old I was. And they were astonished, thinking, oh, I didn't think I looked that young. I think I look older than I am. And they said, what are you doing at your age with such a powerful dog, powerful animal, powerful dog? And I'm thinking, it's a little puppy dog. That's my puppy dog. What are you talking about? They grow up, and boy, do they grow up. And you need to understand, it's not like from 40 pounds to 60 pounds is just, what, 50% more? Oh, no, no, no. You're in for a surprise, kind of a treat. But remember, Malinois means evil in the dark. Because these things come out of nowhere. They got the black face mask. You will not see eyes. You'll probably see teeth if they're going for you. Oh, and believe me. And I had to get used to her setting boundaries on strangers. And so, because it's like she knows she's working. Don't pet me. And people will sneak up from behind and they'll talk at your dog and they'll turn around and coo at the dog. And women do it all the time. And I finally said to one woman who was doing this, I said, and they won't leave you alone. I had one guy that I actually had to tell him, you better worry about the owner because you don't do that with these dogs. Oh, he was shook up because everybody thinks this dog is here. I can pet it. They think that they're entitled to command your dog and to pet your dog and do what they want. They don't seem to understand. Some ask. Many just know out of respect and say, we know. I know. I'm not going to. And of course, with children, you got to be careful because toddlers especially, they pat at this. And of course, if I'm disciplining my dog physically, and you will have to discipline your dog physically, you grow out of it, the dog grows out of it as well, but you want to go, you'll probably do a same damn rhythm as what the little toddler's doing. And of course, gradually, you tap lighter and lighter and lighter, and then you just barely go down to the skin there. And of course, there comes a day when you lift your hand up, and the dog just comes around, and that's what you're getting trained. She's training you. It's a team. It's a team, and you have to realize that's all the dog wants. I mean, there's a lot of times, when you come home, the dog needs to greet you. You need to spend some time with the dog because for them, time is different. They don't know if you're ever going to see you again. And it might only be a few minutes outside the door and you come in. And if they haven't heard your voice, smell you, or they don't know you're there, you want to greet your dog. And in the morning, she wakes me up and comes up, and it's head petting time, it's head rubbing time, snout rubbing, ear rubbing time. And usually she's like, oh, okay, cool. She'll go right back to sleep. And if we get up a little bit late, it's like, leg goes up, rub my belly. I don't care if you're 6 feet away from me, your arm is long enough to reach all the way over here, so rub my belly from over there. You can't do it, of course, but the dog's perception is such, I don't know. I haven't asked her, and she hasn't told me about that yet. She's starting to understand full syntax, so I will be able to converse with her. My last dog, I had him when he was 6 weeks old as a puppy, and I didn't take him in public till he was 7 months old. And I hadn't planned on doing that, but there were times in which, I'd go to the Porsche parade or in a hotel or somewhere, and usually I'm in the RV or something, and I'd walk her around here or there, and the people in the hotel liked my last dog so much that the guys would just tell me, you put a vest on her, that dog, she can go anywhere, just put a vest on her. Didn't want her certified, didn't need any of that credentialing stuff. She's fully certified and credentialed. But at 7 years of age, I brought him out, and it was just marvelous. I'd spent so much time with him. And he also understood his job as an ambassador. So he would go and pick people to pet him. And he'd go work the room like a politician. This is different. It's a one-man dog. She's jealous. She doesn't want anybody else around. She doesn't want any competition, typical female. And like a typical female, competes at all levels. And that's what it is for females. You keep trying to tell me they're the weaker and the fairer and the better and all that. And I just see wild animals today, especially today. They're pretty wild. When you rear them fatherless, they're worse than the boys. But the women think that the children need their mothers. No, the mothers need their children. No, that's what they say, and that's what the courts insist is in the best interest. But we've got an inverted world today. You must know that by now. Without fathers, boys, lifetime criminal justice system incidents, 70%. With father and mother, intact family, lifetime criminal justice system, incidence rate of only 6%. Ladies, you need to figure out which side the bread is buttered on. Now, we don't have the stats on girls, but I can assure you it is much worse. And if these courts weren't so lenient on girls and cops weren't so lenient on women, it would be very different. It's the same standard as when I was a little boy. A woman who kills a man today gets on average 7 years, if anything. They usually don't even charge them. Yeah, they don't care about our safety or criminality or any of that shit. It comes down to record keeping and how much money they can make. And a man, average murder sentence is 20 years. 3 times longer. And you wonder why women are so wild, why they can't control themselves. It's because they haven't been fathered. And it leaves a gaping hole in them. And I think if you ladies are going to divorce, you don't just tell them, you don't just give the children, the boys, to the fathers. You should, if you are wise at all, say, you'll take my daughters too. Because your daughter's going to turn out a lot better. Much better. I've seen it time and time again. Child raised by female alone. I've seen 3 fates that seem to run in tandem, in parallel. Drug addict, prostitute, lesbian, or bisexual, or whatever, trisexual. You get those 3 things out of that. That's the recipe. That's the cake you're baking, and with the recipe you're using. And the insanity is you're doing the same thing every time. And I've watched one woman raise 3 sets of girls that way. 6 girls total. Now you got to realize that one of them procreated out of the 2, but the lesbianism, not bisexualism quite often, but it happens there. And the drug use, oh yeah, and the prostitution, the white slavery as they call it, that's right along with it. So if the courts had any wisdom, the recommendation would be, from a psychologist knowing the literature, would be in the best interest of the child, the father gets full custody and takes full responsibility, and that way the woman can go party and do whatever she wants. Because we can't just have more children. The woman can have more children, and they're used as a weapon against us. And today, psychology has destroyed the American society, has destroyed the American family. We psychologists are guilty of that. I'm not happy with it, because at least 85, 95% probably today are libtards. They're dumbasses. They're not bright. They don't have common sense. But we're going to make sure that we have to totally search out the gender identity on this child. Okay, oh, you're using those, oh, you want to play, you want, oh, there's no such thing as a tomboy anymore. This is we do a gender identity thing on them. And it's like, It's a child. Leave the child alone. The child will decide. Let nature take its course. But they're forcing the unnatural on you. And that's their agenda. That's their number one agenda right there. I have the references and the books to prove it in their literature, hot off the press. I have it sitting on the desk. I don't want to show it to you because it is not a good read. It is deeply disturbing. But you can just go along with it. Let them shove that liberalism, androgyny crap down your throats and damage your children for life. 3 highest suicide rates. Veterans. College-aged females. Co-eds. And they don't just overdose anymore. They hang themselves and shoot themselves and stab themselves with knives. That's serious. That used to be the method reserved for men. Most men don't use their knives on themselves. That's a pretty serious thing right there. And your third category are the children that you force to go transgender. Now, if you waited until after they were 21 or preferably 25, because males take a lot longer to develop, we're slower to develop, then it might have some basis. There might be some validity to it. If you weren't trying to force it upon the child and you didn't have a narrative you were trying to force on everybody, and if you actually were neutral and properly trained and ethical, which I do pretty good with that. But I have to be very careful with that because somebody might be offended, especially on the board, and they'll yank your license because you have to help them affirm their transgenderism because we're saving them. No, you're not. You're casting them to the wolves. You're tossing them away. There have been so many young boys that just about reach 18 and they realize having the penis cut off and going on hormones is no fun thing, because not only do they deal with menstrual cycles, kind of weird stuff, they deal with, well, I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you. It's not a proper menstrual cycle, and I'm not going to go study that literature, and I'm not going to deal with that unless I really have to. If I get a client that needs that kind of help, I'm probably going to make a referral to somebody who's read the literature and is competent to do that. If it's simply as anxiety or depression, I don't have a problem with that. But the self-mutilation, to me, is a mental disorder. And the fact that you can't accept yourself is a mental disorder. And I'm supposed to tell you it's not. I'm supposed to know it all, know it everything, and dictate to you. And there have been so many boys, well, they were boys, who regret it and they can't reverse it, and they commit suicide. Those are your 3 highest categories of suicidality. I know a lot of people want to say it's the drug users. Actually, most of those things are murderers. But the police don't care. They just want to close the books, and it's like, oh, fentanyl, overdose. Doesn't matter that somebody poisoned them, targeted them, and murdered them. The police don't care. There is no criminal justice. There's very little law enforcement. And I don't mean to knock them, but I don't think they're allowed to go after that at all. I think their superiors say, just write it down and get it off the books, because we don't want the public thinking there's a serial murderer going on. And there's a lot more serial murders today than ever. Some of them carry guns into schools. Should I say mass instead of serial? Because they usually shoot them up one time and they got several victims. And most of them are trans, and they're on the best care available, the best medication possible. And we're finding that the medication causes suicidal and homicidal ideation. And we're finding out also that there's other stuff in there that's causing that stuff as well. So it's really a can of worms. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get carried away. Do you really want a Belgian Malinois? if you have a family, I think you do. You want to rear that puppy with your children, and that dog is going to have more companionship, have more attention, and that dog is going to make sure nothing happens to that child. If you go to discipline your child, the dog may just do a gentle, no, you're not touching her. You have to be careful on that, because if that dog is bonded with that child, the dog is going to tell you, you can't spank, you can't touch, I'm not going to let you do it. And you better not cross that line, because I'm sorry. But if you do a good job and you know how to rear your children properly and discipline them properly, and then get some discipline going, and then bring a puppy in, the puppy will accept your disciplining, provided the child doesn't put up too much of a tantrum. And I think your children and you are going to sleep better, be a lot safer at night. Another thing is, we've been invaded by the horde. Our illustrious libtards, including the psychologists and the politicians, they've decided to bring these people in that do not blend with us, do not mix at all, and screw things up. It's not good for the guests either. They want us to treat them as guests. They don't want us enforcing laws against them because they are worth more than you or I are. You need to understand something. We're living in a dangerous time. And we have lots of people whose religion says you can't have dogs. Cats are okay, but you can't have dogs. And they will insist, get the dog away from me, because that's their religion. And they'll turn around, and even though you're minding your own business and they're several feet away, they act really weird, and they demand that you get rid of the dog, that you move the dog over. They demand you accommodate them. So if that happens, and I got my shit together, I say, welcome to America. We love our dogs. And believe me, those people don't like dogs. And the dogs know better than you or I do. And they don't like them either. When I walked in with Diesel, my 70-pound Great Dane Black Lab mix, long legs, slender body, very athletic animal, with a noble personality like a Great Dane, those people never looked at me. They avoided eye contact with me and with the dog. They knew better. But if I wanted to make a quick bolt into the Walmart grocery store or whatever without my dog, they eyeballed me and looked me up and down and were sizing me up, and I knew it. And at that point, I'm like, I'm in a foreign country here, this other state with weird laws and stuff, and I don't know about these people taking my dog in with me. And then they leave me alone. It's good, shall we say, repellent, and those are not compatible peoples. And they will rise up, and they will oppress us, their hosts. We have a lot of parasites here. And I'm not talking about poor people either. We got a lot of parasites. The Epstein War has shown what this class has done to us. Billionaire class, too. And it's not going to be pretty here, because we have to sort this out. And if we don't sort it out soon, they will take us down. May God bless America. May Yahweh bless you. May you get yourself a Malinois if you want one. There are different temperaments. Be willing to go to the breeders and tell them what you want. Go to a reputable breeder, somebody that has a return policy. If you don't like the dog, you can return the dog, and they give you your money back. Of course, you put all your money into the dog training and feeding and health stuff, so it's not a real big loss to them in several ways. But you need to get the right animal for you. If you want an aggressive dog, security dog, tell them that. If you want a docile animal with a wonderful temperament to play with your children so the children can crawl on the dog and pull on its ears and tug on its ears, and sleep against the dog, tell them that. Do not pick this breed if you're not going to invest the time, give them the attention and the stimulation you need, and you will be the work animal. You will be the one working at it. Now, I happen to like that. I get a little frustrated, but talking to you, I realize, where is that electric collar at? We got to start doing that again. I got to go back to my trainers, get a refresher, a visit, an hour or two. And I got to seek up other trainers so she gets more stimulation because she has to be trained. And it's not that you train her and that's it. It's lifetime. These dogs are an investment. You're going to spend a lot more on training than you do on the animal. Otherwise, I would say on an animal like this, half of the money minimum will be in the training. What do you pay for one of these? $3,000, $4,000 for a reputable dog. If you want a really special dog, which the military and the prisons and all that go for, I don't know what those go for. Those used to go for only $4,000 10 years ago. So I would imagine an animal like that today is $8,000. I wouldn't be surprised at $10,000 with no training. And if you want an animal that's trained up, you got the deep pockets, you can spend $30,000 in a heartbeat. On just the training, not on the animal. You got to buy the animal on top of that. So I can do a lot of things with $40,000, I think. But if you're a superstar, a sports figure, rock star, whatever, somebody that's public recognized, and you want one of these animals, spend the big bucks. Go to a reputable trainer. And realize it's not a fan. You cannot just take them and leave them when you want. You can't just use these if you really want them to defend you and really want to have good control over them so that they won't offend inadvertently. Because if you're going to be a dumbass and put the animal into trouble, if I happen to have police contact, maybe they think I'm speeding or something, they want to talk to me, I will leave my car and leave the dog in the car. Because if it gets because there might be a little bit of contesting going on. The dog picks up on that for a block, maybe even a whole mile away. These dogs read that stuff. They read other people better than we do. And if the officer feels his life is threatened, he's just going to dispatch the dog. The FBI are famous for killing dogs. They don't care. The dog barked at me. The dog snarled. What do you mean? The dog's setting boundaries. Yeah, the dog shows his teeth and puts them away. Or you're really being an asshole, the dog shows his teeth and just stays there and it's not going for you. It's just showing you, I got weapons. And of course, it was real rough teaching her not to use her teeth. They love using their teeth. They're mouthy, they're sensitive, and now once in a while she'll just do a little love bite. She's an adult. She's got control now. So when she does it, I'm not worried about it. But she's doing it to me, and I couldn't have her doing that like she was doing it, because if she was doing that to anybody she wanted, my God, the dog bit me. It is a sign of affection, no skin breakage. But you got to be careful, because if you have a taunting little bastard that wants to put his finger in the dog's eyes and do a na-na-na-na-na to the dog, it's not going to go well. I'm speaking to you because I want to defend the breed. There's always talk about limiting ownership of these breeds, licenses and all that stuff. I spend the money on the care and the paperwork. I always carry a health certificate. It's not necessary most of the time, but I carry it because sometimes I got to cross national boundaries, Canada, and you got to have the health certificate. And you got to have paperwork on your animal to travel interstate today. That's not well known. So I've got to pack it together, and I got another document or two to put in there, and I'm going to have them in a folder, and it's going to go right along with my registration, my proof of insurance, and license. All that's going to be in the whole bundle. The officer's not going to have to demand anything from me. It's going to be, here are my papers. And at least they'll know it's well organized. The document's here for the dog. There's no questions to be asked. And I'm on my way. Yeah, everybody wants one of these dogs. They're not for beginners. There's nothing like a green dog trainer, a green dog owner, and an animal that's not been trained. It's a bad combination. And I trained my dad's dogs. I trained my dogs. This is different. This is it's not another level. This is another world. Yahweh bless.